Good Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Morgan. Well, if we're going to start with some breaking news this afternoon, country music legend Dolly Parton has died. She was 80 years old. Just days ago, Parton revealed that she had been dealing with some health struggles recently and had to cancel an appearance at Dollywood. Parton had a career that lasted decades and is the best-selling female country music artist of all time and extremely well known for her philanthropy. Rest in peace to Dolly. New this afternoon, Hennepin County Attorney's Office will not press felony charges related to the rally outside of the Minneapolis City Hall on Saturday after an MPD officer was injured. Far-right antagonist Jake Lane organizing that rally, promoting it online using a racial slur. According to the Hennepin County Attorney, Lane's security detail was coordinating with the Minneapolis Police Department, but during the rally, Lane and his detail drove two vehicles onto the sidewalk outside of City Hall. A Minneapolis police officer was hit by one of those vehicles when trying to help someone who had fallen down. The Hennepin County Attorney says that the driver of the vehicle likely did not see the person on the ground in front of them. The rally outside the Minneapolis City Hall ended in protests and nearly a dozen arrests. Now Lane is facing rioting and assault charges. Developing right now, the Justice Department is considering whether to bring charges against the ICE agent accused of a non-fatal shooting in Minneapolis during the Operation Metro Surge. And that is according to CNN, who spoke with a source close to the DOJ. Christian Castro was arrested in Harlingen, Texas in May. Here's a photo of him. His arrest coming after state prosecutors in Minnesota filed charges against him for second-degree assault. Prosecutors say in January, Castro fired a gun into a North Minneapolis home and shot Julio Sosa Solis in the leg. Last week, however, Attorney General Keith Ellison accused Texas Governor Greg Abbott of shielding Castro from being held accountable after Abbott declined to extradite him to Minnesota. So if the DOJ proceeds with federal charges, it would mark a significant shift. The Trump administration so far has resisted attempts to hold ICE officers accountable for other shootings. New this afternoon, though, we got to talk about Canada. They are retaliating against a new U.S. tariff by adding its own tariffs on $20 billion worth of goods. The Canadian government says that the new duties of between 15 and 50% will take effect on September 8th. More than 800 products are going to be impacted here. Canadian officials say that the tariffs will focus on numerous sectors, including steel, dairy, appliances, and agricultural equipment. The response comes after the U.S. hit many Canadian products with new 50% tariffs that took effect early Saturday. And President Trump, he is responding to this with threats to rename Lake Ontario to Lake America. The lake separates, of course, New York State from Ontario, Canada. He has also, though, threatened to raise tariffs on Canadian vehicles, auto parts, and steel to 50% beginning next year. In a post on Truth Social, Trump called Canada's recent actions, quote, entitled and unreasonable. Firefighters continue to fight the wildfires sweeping through the Sierra Nevada foothills. Thousands of people are under mandatory evacuation orders right now. NBC's Liz Coots has the latest from Reno.
Well, hey there, we're in one of the harder hit neighborhoods here just outside Reno, and you can see this is one of the homes that's burned. Sadly, just the framing of this garage, the only thing really left standing. The home next to it also burned, and you can see the windshield of this truck totally smashed through. These are among the 32 homes that officials say have burned so far from this fire. Right now, 14,000 people remain evacuated, and that is significantly less than yesterday. That's good news because crews have been able to gain some ground on this fire. It's now 27% contained, and they have been able to lift some of the evacuation zones. But we did talk to one man, a 68-year-old man, Ricardo, who said he's lived in his home for 20 years, and he's just devastated that fire just came so quickly, consumed his home. He lost basically everything he owns, and sadly, he doesn't have fire insurance. We're continue to hear so many stories like this. And one of the big questions right now is, how did this start? We know it ignited over the weekend. It was fueled by high heat and strong winds. Officials say it was human caused, but they're still working to determine whether or not it was intentional. Back to you.
Right now, no more burn restrictions are in place in northern Minnesota. This is big news. The DNR lifted the last remaining restriction yesterday in Cook Lake and St. Louis counties, as well as across the Superior National Forests and Boundary Waters. Officials say that cooler weather and rain have really helped improve conditions since massive fires sparked last month. But they're asking people to still stay vigilant and, with fall around the corner, to just be alert. At midnight, the deadline passed for Republican gubernatorial candidate Mike Lindell to file and pay for a hand recount of this month's primary results. Lindell did not concede the race after Lisa Dameth won by nearly 45,000 votes. Last week, he said that he was going to request a recount over, quote, irregularities. But right now, he says that he's now going to be asking for legal action instead. In a statement from his campaign, Lindell makes several claims about the recount process, saying that it was changed to only include recounts for two candidates, him and Dameth. However, Lindell says that he found alleged anomalies affecting all GOP candidates. Lindell's team also describes the recount as one of the biggest in history. Tonight in Plymouth, though, city leaders are holding a special meeting to discuss data centers. It appears that tonight's discussion is going to be more informational to help determine exactly the future of data centers in the city. It's not clear if Plymouth is planning to build a new one or has anything in the process of it, but several cities across the state have, of course, faced a lot of backlash over their plans due to concerns like high electricity bills and noise pollution. Tonight's Plymouth meeting is scheduled for 5. In Dayton tonight, though, another hot topic. The city council will vote on whether to pause the city's contract with flock security. City officials say that all of their flock cameras have already been removed since they kept on getting damaged. Supporters say that the cameras help solve crimes a lot faster for police. Others say that they are concerned about how flock collects the data and who gets access to it. That vote is also going to be at 5. Minneapolis city leaders want to hear from you as the city looks for a new permanent police chief. Tonight, the city is holding the first of 3 listening sessions at the Depot on 3rd Avenue South. The meeting starts at 6:30, and then they do have 2 more sessions scheduled for tomorrow. Details can be found at KARE11.com. As the first day of school gets closer, one of the largest teachers unions is urging teachers and families to boycott Minnesota-based Target and get their school supplies from another store. The American Federation of Teachers says that the boycott is in response to Target not publicly condemning ICE activity in Minnesota. And here's the thing, it's not the only controversy or boycott the Minnesota retailer is responding to today. Heidi Wigdahl explains.
Back to school is bringing with it a back-to-school boycott.
We said stand with the community. And if you don't stand with the community, we're shopping somewhere else.
Randy Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, says the union is urging teachers and families to get their school supplies from retailers other than Target. They say the boycott is in response to Target not publicly condemning ICE activity in Minnesota.
Teachers had flashbangs in their cars. I mean, it looked far more like a war zone than like Minnesota. Here you had Target, which made its reputation of being a member of the community. And instead of supporting the community, they were out there being silent.
When we reached out to Target, they mentioned the January open letter that included signatures of 60 CEOs from Minnesota-based companies, including Target, urging a, quote, de-escalation of tensions during the ICE surge. It also called for, quote, state, local, and federal officials to work together to find real solutions.
We said, it's not a both sides issue here. All they needed to say was that ICE was wrong.
It's had, I think, negative results for companies who have embraced using politics in business. So it seems to me that Target's just trying to stay out of the fray for a change.
Darren Duber-Smith is a visiting professor of marketing based in Denver.
Boycotts generally do not work, statistically speaking, in terms of revenue reduction, but companies will often engage with the organization that makes the threats in order to mitigate any negative publicity that might come from it. As long as the demands are reasonable and as long as it's something that the company can do, then it can work.
It begins at home. This is our hometown retail. They're right here in our backyard. Target pretended to be our friend. You know, Target pretended like they care.
Shaletta Brundage, founder and CEO of the marketing and media company ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com, has worked with Target in the past and was a faithful shopper.
So I had to hold Target's feet to the fire.
But in early 2025, she was one of the first to speak on the national boycott of Target over its DEI rollbacks. Then over the weekend, this Halloween costume was found on Target's website.
This is wrong and this is racist. If you put this up against any of the racist tropes that are out there from that era, right? Where they did the black face and they did the dance and they did the jig. It's the same mannerisms. It's the same costume. It's the same smile. It's the same face. It's the same everything. And Target keeps showing us over and over again exactly who they are.
This afternoon, jurors are back at the Las Vegas courthouse for day 7 of Tupac Shakur's murder trial. 63-year-old Duane Davis is accused of planning the shooting that killed the rapper nearly 3 decades ago. Prosecutors say that Davis admitted to his role in Tupac's death in multiple interviews, including one for BET's Death Row Chronicles back in 2017. Jurors heard a snippet of that conversation yesterday. Take a listen.
Was there ever a time when you felt bad about Tupac?
Was it every time I felt bad about it?
Yeah.
I wish it never happened. I lost my plug. You know what I'm saying?
Now, Davis says that he only did interviews and admitted to the murder to make money. He has pleaded not guilty. This afternoon, the Trump administration is preparing to revoke business and tourism visas of up to 200,000 people who have applied or are currently seeking asylum in the U.S. If it goes forward, the move would be the largest single mass revocation of visas in U.S. history. The State Department is expected to announce the revocation of so-called B1 and B2 visas issued between 2016 and this year. The officials say that this does not necessarily mean an immediate deportation, but foreigners will lose their status as business or tourism travelers. Experts note that the move is likely to face legal challenges. Stick with us. We got more news and weather coming up.